Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. My good friend, Mr. Edward Davis. He is the creator, the writer of Immortal Era. Ed, it's so good to see you. I always get to see you at these small little events that we do together once in a while. I know you're going to be at WonderCon this weekend, so I'll see you there. But I
Oh
always
yeah.
enjoy having you on the podcast. Man, we always have a great conversation.
Oh yeah, it's always great. The time just flies right by. So always loves coming and talking with you because yeah, that shows it's sometimes hard. If your table's busy or something, you can't just sit and talk. So right now we get that time and it's, one on one, nobody coming to the table and I start shifting the eyes like, wait, potential customer alert.
Yeah, I know how that goes. You don't want to miss
You
anything.
know the struggle with that. Like anytime someone's coming that might buy, you just like everything shifts. And if I'm mid sentence with you, sorry, breaking that
Yeah.
sentence and talking over here.
Yeah. I think any comic book creator could relate to that. You don't want
Mm,
to miss that potential, especially at like WonderCon. I mean, that's a pretty big event, so I'm
yeah.
sure it's not super cheap to be there. So you want to make sure you get everything you can in those 3 days.
Oh,
So
definitely.
yeah. Well, let's get into it because you have your current Kickstarter that has 10 days left. It's a
Yes.
$3,000 goal. You're at 2315. So
Hmm.
we're getting close, right?
Yeah.
We were just talking before we hit record that that the beginning is always great, and then you have this like desert of like 15 to 18 days
Yeah.
that's like nothing but stress, and then you get into like the last 5 days and you're hoping all those regulars come back, which
Yeah.
for Immortal Era you're on issue 9. I mean, you're kind of a veteran at this already, so my assumption is that's going to happen for you, but still we got
Hmm.
to help push you to that end of that goal and make sure
Oh,
that they
yeah.
get the last issue of this current arc, which is issue number 9, which you did
Yeah.
send to me on the PDF. I read it,
Hmm.
and like everything else, it's awesome, man. I love it.
Thank you.
A little sad this one. I don't want to give anything
It
away,
is.
but yeah, it kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit. I mean, both of you and I are both married, so we don't want to get
Yeah.
much into it. But yeah, you're like, oh man, a little gut wrenching, kind of.
Yeah. My wife, she'll talk to me about certain things that I'm doing, and she'll be like, "I'm still mad at you for that one." And this issue's one of those ones that she looks at me, and goes, "I'm still mad at you about what you did on this issue." But
Yeah.
it's something when you're an author, you're the worst person to your characters. And this is one of those ones where it's needed for the story, but it just tears your heart apart. And even my assistant editor who was going through making sure all the punctuation, all the grammar was good to go. I was like, yeah, I forgot what a heartbreaking issue this one was. He's like, man, that just crushed my night. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's what I'm going for. We weren't going for, the happily ever after, because in a story like Immortal Era, that's a stretch to get to a happily ever after point.
Yeah, I don't think you have a happily ever after title. That's not how
No, no, it's
I've
it's like
received it.
bittersweet is about the best you're gonna get when it comes to anything in this story, and sometimes less than bittersweet, just bitter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Ed, can you kind of give us our elevator pitch for anybody that's listening that doesn't know anything about Immortal Era? I got my issue 1 that you signed for me. I keep it in a little case right here, and I have it with all
Nice.
my others. So maybe give us a little synopsis of what people could expect.
Sure.
Because it shocked me even after the elevator pitch. As you go through it, you're like, wow, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, so the basic premise of the story is it's a post-apocalyptic world set 200 years in the future where everyone has mysteriously gained immortality. But with their immortality, they didn't gain any kind of powers or abilities. So this world, they can still age, they still get sick. There's a character in the story who's just a decapitated head who's forced to live on. So it centers on the group of heroes that you see on the cover right there. They live in an underground, abandoned subway system where the outcasts of this society are forced to live. And they're out looking for relics from the past that would explain exactly why people became immortal, because for them, their ultimate goal is to restore the natural life cycle and to save humanity by killing them. And as the story progresses, we see there are people who are absolutely set on keeping the immortality the way it is. To them, they found a way to make it work for them. They found a way to twist and bend the rules. So they're going to fight them at every step to get rid of this immortality, or to keep immortality while they're fighting to get rid of it. So we bring in, as the story progresses, a lot of different supernatural elements throughout the story that in the first issue you wouldn't really find them, and then by the time we get to issue 2, the supernatural world is unlocked in it as well, and then my other title, Corruptor, directly connects to it as well. And when we get to issue 12, we'll actually see some characters from Corruptor appearing in Immortal Era.
Yeah, because Corruptor was the last campaign, the successful
Yeah.
campaign you had. So I think up to this point with issue 9, there's 10 issues that you've produced, right?
Yes.
9 on the Immortal Era, 1 on the Corruptor, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have issue 9, and then we have Corruptor issue 2 coming in the near future
Mm-hmm.
as well, right? Followed by 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So the campaigns should be pretty quick to follow. As for this year, I'm gonna be releasing Corruptor 2 will be my next campaign. And that one, I'm thinking probably June because you got to have time to fulfill the campaign. The books are already ordered for Immortal Era 9, so it's just waiting for the printer to send them. So it should be pretty quick when the campaign ends that I'll be able to send the issues right out. And then Corruptor 2 is getting all the colors finished. And then Immortal Era 10 colors begun on that one. And I even got a Garbage Pail Kid artist to do a Garbage Pail Kid cover for Immortal Era 9 or Immortal Era 10. So it's fun. It's Ari as a Garbage Pail Kid slicing up one of the cannibals from the underground. So that one I'm excited about getting that out, and also doing stickers, of course, because if you're gonna get a Garbage Pail Kid artist, you got to get some stickers made.
You have to. You have to. Yeah, yeah. It would be a sin not to. That's awesome. That's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see that variant cover. I definitely will be picking up that one for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that one's fun, and it was just one of those things that I really wanted a Garbage Pail Kid cover, so I just started finding every Garbage Pail Kid artist I could find on Facebook and just messaging every single one of them until someone said yes. So it's like if you want something like that and you're a creator, you just got to keep trying. You'll eventually find that one who's available and ready to go for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's super exciting. I can't wait for issue 10. You got my interest sparked for sure. I thought
Oh
maybe
yeah.
what we could do, Ed, is I'm gonna pull up the actual campaign. Let's just kind of walk
Okay.
through it real quick. That way people know where to find it. I'll obviously put the link below. That way we
Yeah.
could make sure everybody has what they need. Sorry. There you
Yeah.
go. Let me move it up. All right, here we go. So again, 10 days ago, what is awesome is you have 91 backers. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I don't know what your
Yeah.
average is per campaign. I don't remember the last one, but man, if you get close to that 100 mark, I always think that's pretty exciting.
100's always my first goal, of course. Like if you can hit 100, it's looking good. And the last issue of Immortal Era, I believe, hit 160. So I'm really hoping we can get close to those numbers again. But it's like the economy makes it where a lot of people have to make those choices. And when you're cutting something out, what is it going to be? It's going to be a comic book, especially because a lot of backers know I'm going to keep putting books out. So I was like, okay, I'll catch up one or two campaigns from now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first thing I would love to hit would be that, that number 100 and then go beyond that. But yeah, anytime you can get 100, it's a really good feeling. I know Corruptor hit like 97, so it was very close. And being a first issue, I was really happy with that. And I've seen a lot of people when they're buying this issue are picking up that first issue of Corruptor because I made the mistake of running the campaign in December and I realized that's not the time to be running a Kickstarter campaign. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely skip December next year and go for that, the Make 100 that you can do when they have that big promotion in.
Yeah, absolutely. I made the same mistake to be honest. So yeah, that's a bad month, right? Everyone's already have plans and all their money's pretty much spent on presents and whatnot. So
Yeah.
but yeah, let's walk through it real quick. Again, issue number 9. We'll look at some of the awards here, the rewards. I mean, so let's kind of walk through it. Here's the first one right here, which is obviously the issue number 1, the digital version of it, and you have
Yeah.
all of the digital versions 1 through 9 will be made available, right?
Yeah, there's a catch-up tier for the digital, so it's a $20 tier and it gets you issues 1 through 9 in digital form. So what you would get is you would get the trade, which collects 1 through 6, and then you'd get the individual PDFs of 7, 8, and 9.
Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Down here. All right. So here is issue number 9 for the physical at $15. Again, I just read it. It's a kind of a tearjerker. Really kind of tugs at your heart. Certainly don't want to give anything away, but you don't want to miss this one. It is the third issue in this arc, but as you were kind of sharing before, you could actually read issue 9 apart from the other two issues, even though they're related. It is a story kind of contained within issue number 9. So
Yeah.
as you're walking through it, you won't feel like, oh man, I'm missing something, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you've read everything else, you're going to have a lot more connections to what's going on. But I tried to put a standalone issue out because I know for a lot of people, it's a daunting task to want to have to catch up and have to buy 9 issues to do it. So it's like you can make issue 9 your jumping on point, and this one focuses fully on backstory of one of our major characters. So knowing that character going in would make it a lot easier to understand, but not knowing anything about that character, you'll learn a lot about him, everything you need to know by just reading this one issue. And then it does extend out, like we get an end point that never gets us back to the present. This entire issue all takes place in the past. The next issue, we get to find out a little bit more about what happened after the final moments of this issue.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, it is a great issue, well written. Again, here's that $20 for the digital 1 through 9. Here is 9 and then a poster. Can you kind of talk about the poster and what they could get with this one?
So with this one, what you get is I have 3 posters. I do one for each cover of each book that I do. And then you can choose one of those 3 posters, or as I said in the description, if you read into it, I have posters for every issue still available. So if you wanted one of the older posters, you can just as easily say, hey, I would like an issue 1 variant poster, and I can send that instead. So the posters, you get a choice between, I think now there's 23 or 24 different designs for the posters, so lots to choose from, and you pick what you want when you get to the surveys at the end.
Excellent. Yeah, that's so cool. So cool. And then here is the one of the variants, right? So you usually have
Yeah.
two variants, right? You have your
Mm-hmm.
cover A, we'll call it, and then two variants on most issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, one of the variants is always just a standard comic, and then the other one I do is a foil. I did sketch cover ones before, but I always just stick with 2 variants. Issue 10 will be the first one with the third one because it'll have that Garbage Pail Kid variant, so it'll have a third one. But my normally my variants, I only do 25 copies of them. With the Garbage Pail Kids one, it'll be a wider print. It won't be huge print count, but I'll probably do about 150 of that one just because the Garbage Pail Kid collectors are going to want that. And I've been to a lot of cons where there's huge fans of Garbage Pail Kids around because if you get a few Garbage Pail Kid artists that are attending, those Garbage Pail Kid fans will come out. So I'm hoping I'll have something for them to lure them over, and if they don't even care about the book, they just want the cover done by one of their favorite artists.
Yeah. That's so cool. Man, I cannot wait to see what that looks like. I was, growing up when Kids came out. I'm almost 50, so I remember when they came out, and I remember riding my bike to the liquor store hoping that they had some because they were selling out so fast. But yeah,
Yeah, and
a lot of
it was like a
memories.
quarter a pack back then, I remember. And you
Yeah,
just went in, brought your money, and walked out with some Garbage Pail Kids or baseball cards or whatever
yeah,
it was. I did the same thing. It's like, all right, I'd have a few bucks, go to the store. Back then a $5 bill, you're walking out with a couple comic books, couple packs of cards or Garbage Pail Kids, and probably a soda on top of it all. So
yeah,
yeah, I loved going down there and getting whatever was the cool thing that was out.
yeah. No, I did the exact same thing. So then here is 7, 8, and 9, right? The catch up if you want to get from
It's
7 on
and the trade. So you'll get the
on the trade.
soft cover trade and then issues 7, 8, and 9.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's everything. So you get the complete
Everything.
story. Does that include Corruptor or no?
That doesn't have Corruptor.
Perfect.
just because it's kind of it's an issue, a series that can stand on its own. So I'm not
Yeah.
doing, never thought about that. That's something I will do for issue 10 is the full story where you'd get Corruptor 1 and 2 and then Immortal Era. At that point it would be 1 through 10. So I hadn't thought of that till you said it right now, but I'll definitely create that tier because there might be someone who's like, you know what, I want all the Finish Line comic stuff, so let me get it all in one shot.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great value too. And then here's the single issue that we were just kind of talking about before we hit the record button. So
Yeah.
here is this is all the physicals, right? Of the
Yeah,
single
all the
issues.
floppies. So that's not a
Floppy.
trade. You'll get actual like individual issues of 1 through 9.
Yeah, that's awesome. And all of them come signed, Ed, by you?
It's something in the survey. If you want them signed, then that's always an option. And I don't charge extra for signatures. It's just I have 1 or 2 people that just insist on getting their books unsigned. So I
Yeah.
always make it an option. And I'd say probably 90% of the people choose to get the signature. So it's in there because whenever I do my campaigns, I fulfill them myself. So I'll sign the books and I also like to write a little thank you card to everybody who backs.
Yeah.
Just something I said from the very beginning when I was talking to my wife about even getting into making comic books. I said, I don't care if I have 500 backers. I'm always happy to write a card for every single one of them if they buy something physical. If they buy a digital, then I send them, a nice email. But if, I figure I always have time for people who are willing to give their money and, give part of what they have to support this book.
Yeah. No, I have a couple of those cards. They're really nice. So all right. And then we get to here. Here's the hardcover trade catch up. Can you kind of walk through this one? Is this the 1 through 6, just the hardcover? Is that the only
It's the
difference?
1 through 6 hardcover, and the way that I did the hardcover was I only did 100 copies of it. So that's one of those ones. When it's sold out, it's gone. The soft cover I'm going to keep in print. That one will stay in print infinitely. When that sells out, I'll print more. But as for the hardcover, when those 100 are gone, that'll be that. And I'll do the same thing for the 6 through, or I guess the 7 through 12.
Mhm.
I'll do the soft cover, which will be the mass one that'll probably print 1,000 to start, and then the hardcover just the 100. And the hardcover features things you don't get in the soft cover. So with the soft cover, it's just the story, and then I did do the main cover of each issue as you're going through it. But for the hardcover, you get the full cover gallery that includes con exclusives and comic store exclusives. So you'll get to see all of those, including one that I had done that I didn't end up using, but that still ends up making the book. Then it has some different things in the end where you can see script to final and look at the art process steps. So that one you get more of the bells and whistles. That's your deluxe Blu-ray version. When people
Yeah.
want to buy the director's cut kind of things, that's your fancier one. And both versions do include an extra 6-page epilogue that's not in the standard issue 6.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, a lot on this one for sure. And then we get in here. So this is the early bird digital, which this is
Yeah,
over.
these are all ones that are
Yeah.
sold out, I believe, because
Yeah.
there were a few original art pages. Those are gone. And then the other one that you can get if you wanted both the variants and the regular, there's
Mhm.
a limited edition all-in bundle, which
Okay.
gets you all 3 versions of the book.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. And here's some if you want to look at the art is always amazing.
Yeah, the art team does such a good job, and these are art pages from the first 6, and then we focus a lot on, or I guess the first 8, and then we focus in on just art from issue 9 after that. So it's kind of, whenever I do the Kickstarter, I never want to exclude anyone. I don't want it to feel like, okay, you're a new reader, this isn't for you. It's like, no, you're a new reader, you're an old reader, please come in and check it out. So then we get some of the art from issue 9,
Yeah.
and out of context, you won't know what it means, but it's like you'll certain scenes, you just look at them and it's crazy to see because you know what it actually means. And
Yeah, exactly.
this one of the things in the book that you've heard mentioned by characters throughout is one is the flat fields and one is the chicken farm.
Yep.
And this issue finally reveals what both of those are, and hopefully not what you would have ever imagined them to be.
That's for sure. That's an understatement. I love this page in issue number 9. This one kind of tripped me out. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, when you get the first glimpse outside of the city. So this
Yeah,
book also, for the first time, travels away from the two settings where we've been in. We've been in either the underground or we've been above in the surface city, and this one takes him outside of the city into these borderlands that have been established by these gangs and people that had tried to make peaceful communities where they didn't have to be legal citizens. And we see what a kind of almost a Wild West setting it is when they leave the city.
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. That is for sure. And this is crazy too. We won't give it away, but how those arrows hit him was pretty unique too. But yeah, just beautiful artwork. Again, I'm a fan, so I really love this storyline that's been created. So yeah, I'll make sure that this link is in the subject line. I will blast this out everywhere. But everyone who's listening, if you haven't read Immortal Era, you got to get on it. It's an exciting title, and man, it will not disappoint. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And now's the perfect time with 10 days left. Um, if you want the floppies, they're available. If you just want to read them, it's a pretty good value for the digital catch up. So I mean, there's something for everybody, Ed. Something for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I'm that's what I try to do, and I really try to keep my prices as competitive as possible because of course we're not just competing against the indie market. We're competing against, I think, more against Marvel and DC. And if your book is triple or quadruple the cost of a Marvel or DC book, you're going to scare readers away. So that's why for the $15 tier where you get the physical copy, that's the physical copy and getting it shipped. So there's no extra shipping put on top of that. So I try to compete with the big guns. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't be as fast as them, obviously, and you can't, be just as cheap as them because they're printing thousands upon thousands of copies, and you're printing hundreds upon hundreds. And the lower you print, the higher that price goes up.
I will say though, out of all the indie people that we talk to on the show, you're pretty fast at pumping out comic books. So that's pretty impressive. I only know a couple people that have put out as much as you within a year. I mean, usually you're getting two, maybe three, and that's pretty good, I think, for an indie creator. And I
Yeah.
think you're like 4 or 5, right? If not
I
more.
try to do, yeah, minimum four is always my goal. And if I can do more, that's even better. So, yeah, I kind of set the goal every year to do four and hope that you can go beyond that.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So again, anyone who's listening, here's the Immortal Era. Here's issue number 1 right here. Issue number 9 is available, but you can catch up on the all the rest. You're gonna love this story. It will trip you out. You're gonna be blown away seeing a head floating around, functioning just like everybody else. Very normal within this universe that you've created, but really trippy to kind of see for
Yeah. Yeah,
us.
nobody bats an eye at the fact that there's a head just
Yeah,
floating around this village. Like, all right, he's the head, he's telling us what to do. We should listen to the head.
yeah, exactly. It's so wild, man. So wild. But I love it. I love it. I think you've created a pretty cool universe. And yeah, if you haven't read this, you got to get on that. You got to get on that. But it sounds like you're going to be pretty busy all year outside of issue number 9. Um,
Yeah.
just to kind of touch on it again, you have
Mhm.
issues 1 through 9, but you do have the Corruptor, which is related to this storyline,
Yeah.
but it is its own contained story as of right now. And we have
Mhm.
issue 2 coming up, and then obviously issue 10 later in the year. So that'll be
Yeah.
12 comics that you put out.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
So it'll be a lot. And then I also have this year I'll have a story coming out in the next Cthulhu anthology,
Uh,
which is Cthulhu Invades Grim Fairy Tales. And the fairy tale that I adapted was The Fisherman and His Wife. So
uh,
that one, artwork's completely done. It's being colored now, and it'll be released later this year. So yeah, it was really exciting to be picked to be in the next Cthulhu anthology because those are huge, and I've seen them around. Whenever I'm working cons or even just attending for fun, you always see those Cthulhu anthologies on people's tables, and they fly off the table because they have a built-in audience. Like
Yeah.
someone sees that, they love Lovecraft, they're going to grab it right away. So having a story in that, having one of those on the table, I'm really excited for. And I had my assistant editor actually stepped up to full editor on this one because he knows Lovecraft inside and out.
Oh, that's
I'll fully admit I was not deep in the Lovecraft lore when I started it, but I kind of did a deep dive and I was listening to all these different Lovecraft stories when I was out on my runs. And it's like, there's a way to creep your run out right there. It's like, okay, you're running in the middle of the night because once it's winter, it's pretty much all my running's night running.
yeah.
And you're listening to Lovecraft stories. It's like, all right, I'm up really well right here.
Eyes wide open during that run, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty exciting. I mean, you've been writing this story for what, 3 years now?
Immortal Era goes back. I mean, the story of the Immortal Era story, I've been writing. Well, let me think. I started in 2019. So
Okay. Wow.
as a comic, I started writing it in 2018, but the stuff goes all the way back to 1998.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, is it kind of refreshing to write something outside of Immortal Era?
What's that? I'm sorry, up
That's
on me for
okay.
a second.
Yeah, yeah. Is it kind of exciting to be able to write something outside of Immortal Era? You've been so
It
kind of,
it is
yeah,
because my brain gets so deep in that universe that it's nice to have something that's completely unrelated, not even like Corruptor, where even when I'm writing that, I'm thinking about how it can shape into pieces of Immortal Era, where the Cthulhu story, standing on its own, it was really fun because it's like I had an objective, I had a specific amount of pages to work with, and I had, two pieces of lore to work with. I had the Grim fairy tale, the fisherman and his wife, and then I used the deep ones from Lovecraft to put into that story. So being able to play and play in someone else's sandbox as it were, because you're not thinking how does this connect to the lore and let me not mess up my own story when I'm writing Corruptor. Like, okay, I can't step on the feet of Immortal Era when I'm doing this. But yeah, it's a lot of fun and something I hope I can do again if just write stories outside of it.
yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds pretty exciting. I can't wait to see that at your next table when that comes out. That'll be out at the end of the
Yeah,
year then, huh?
I'm pretty sure. I know right now, I think for the art teams, I think the deadline to get everything turned in is May. So it'd probably be very end of the year that we would see it. Probably the campaign would be in October or November, and then the books themselves might even push into next January. But yeah, I'm excited about that, and I'm hoping because the ones who get everything turned in earliest will actually get put into the preview copy. So that's something we might see at the table a lot earlier is those preview copies that would have maybe 3 or 4 stories from what will be the ultimate, big hardcover book.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm really hoping to have at the table by LA Comic Con in September.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting. Well, Ed, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. You know, you're always welcome anytime. I always
I
enjoy our
appreciate that.
conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm certainly a fan of Immortal Era. If you're not reading this, you're making a huge mistake. Now is the perfect time to jump in. Kickstarter has 10 days left. And yeah, I think you're close enough. You're about $685 off. So hopefully we'll be able to close that gap in the next 10 days and we'll
Oh
get our
yeah.
issue number 9.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Anything we're leaving out, Ed?
No, just this weekend I'll be at WonderCon.
That's right. Yeah.
I've created since it's Easter weekend, I've created some fun Easter eggs. So if you come to my table, you can buy an Easter egg that's got stickers, a digital download code, a pin or a keychain and your chance to win all kinds of different prizes, starting at, just some cards or coloring books all the way up to original artwork. So I'm only going to do at maximum 100 of the Easter eggs. So definitely come by the table and grab one, and should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see you there. I'll be there Friday and Saturday, so I'll
Awesome.
definitely come by and say hi. But hopefully you're really busy and you don't have time for me. That would be the best thing.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, right? Well, Ed, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate you coming on. And everybody, head over to Kickstarter, use the link below, and let's support this awesome comic book. Let's get issue 9 in your hands so we can keep continuing this story. But Ed, thank you, and have an amazing WonderCon.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you there.
All right, talk soon.